Yeah, my name is Paul Serwaji, and currently in Glotrans, I'm in the position of Chief Executive Officer, the position which I've held now for 3 years in this company. I'm here to really share with you about Glotrans in partnership with Tricord on what work the Lord is using us here in Uganda for. And right from the beginning, Glotrans comes from the word glory, but it is cut short as Glotrans for glory transactions. Basically, what we do is that we do financing, and the financing which we do is basically giving out loan money. We give out loan money to Christians and the open market as it is. So here we are, and this time I want to share with you exactly what God is doing in Glotrans with the support of Tricord Global, or the partnership of Tricord Global. One thing is, how did we really come up with this vision? The vision came up when we looked around and what was happening, and what happened in Uganda is that the background of Uganda, there is a time it was an Islamic state, when it was under the presidency, under the leadership of one president in Uganda who was Muslim, Idi Amin. So by then, the Muslims took over the economy of Uganda, and they tried to put down the church as much as possible. But even after he left, these people had got ground in Uganda in terms of business, and it is the Muslims who are dominating the market in Uganda in terms of doing business. So when we're in church at one time, we really wanted the funds to do the construction of the church and to buy the church land. But when we went to most of the banks, they came out very clear. The financial institutions, especially the tier ones which were registered in Uganda, and they said, we don't do any financing for church land. We don't do any financing for the churches. And basically their point at that time was saying, look, the churches are not registered. They are not under any umbrella. It was really literally difficult for us to get a loan by then. But starting with the vision bearer, who is Bishop Herbert Chiwanuka, he came up, and by then we are a number of people who were working in financial institutions said, I think I've seen that we really need to know, we need to do something to impact the church and to be able to give them an avenue where they can access finances. So when he collected us together as we are working in the different financial institutions, we came up and we started this financial institution today, which you see, which is Glotrans. But being that the Lord had his plan for it, he also brought partners who were Tricord. And when they came on board, the vision which we thought was so hard, the finances became available. So today, Glotrans has grown. It started as a church fund right inside the church. It came into a circle. Right now, today, it is a financial institution which is regulated, which is licensed by the government of Uganda. We are grateful to our partners of Tricord because we have got finances every year in and year out. That is basically at the company level. Then we come to how these finances have really benefited the church. As we speak right now, we have got over 30 churches which have basically got church land from Glotrans Financial Services funds. When these people come, the churches, they come in times when the owners of the land want to take over the churches where they are. They started by renting, and when they rent, they come up and the owner times comes and says, look, it's time for me, I want to sell this land, and it is an open land. But what has happened is that instead now they can run to Glotrans Financial Services, and we work around with them in how to get this land. There are a number of churches, some of them we shall see them and we shall hear their testimonies from them, what they have really got and acquired out of this program. Basically what we do is that we do church loans. And this time when we do church loans, we are not giving them at the high price like all the other business loans. This is a special project which we do minimum interest. basically, we do the interest because we are running it as a business, but at the same time knowing that it is business as ministry, which we are running. So it is run at a very low interest rate, which could not be accessible to any bank around in Uganda, the rate at which we are giving. And so that's one of the programs which we are running basically as of now. When we come to accessing loans by churches, it has been a challenge, and it is still a challenge, and that is why we are really standing out to come out and see that this gap is closed. What happens is that when you go to a formal bank, it is very difficult. One, you should have a banking history with those churches, with those banks. And to open up a bank account, sometimes it takes some amount of money. Two, the church should be basically registered. And three, some of the things which are being asked for as in the process of the loan, it takes a longer period of time, and it is a very tedious process. What we have done is that we are doing business when we are trying to work with the people whom we understand the church. When we find a church is not registered, we also encourage it and work with it to be registered, so that we work with the legal institution. When the church does not have an account, we have had it open up an account with Glotrans Financial Services. We have worked with the churches to start doing their own books, because some of the churches, the pastors, were not exposed to financial literacy, and they were not exposed to putting things down on paper. So we also work with those churches so that the records are clear. And based on that, we are able to help them out so that they can be able to access the finances. The mainstream, if you can say the other banks, what they have is that you should enter inside there when you're ready. But for us, we go lower and we work with you so that we can be able to meet your need, knowing that it is specifically the kingdom business which you're doing. It's only that you might lack the expertise, you might be lacking the professionalism, which Glotrans now works with you so that we can be able to help you out to get these funds. And that is number one reason why we are almost taking over in terms of really getting loans to the churches. Oh yes, we have experienced these loan clients who are coming in and they become Christians. I remember very well there's a person who came in and he really wanted an emergency loan. This was a healthy loan which he wanted. And in this healthy loan which he wanted, he was going for an operation. When he was going for the operation, yes, we worked through the modalities of getting the loan, preparing the file and doing everything. But even as we are doing that, we got a wonderful opportunity of ministering healing, which is by the Lord. Yes, the doctors treat, but the healing, it's the Spirit of the Lord which uses that person. So we really had an agreement prayer about that, and we said, yes, the funds are here, but here we are agreeing with you over, and it was even a heart surgery, and was going out of Uganda. And to do that, so he needed additional funding. And when we did that, the patient, we prayed together, said, let us believe together, brother. We know you've got the finances, and we know it is God also who has led you here to get the finances. And after praying, he went outside for the surgery, and then the surgery was very successful. And then he came back to Uganda, and then he came back and said, you know what? When we got that prayer, I was afraid, but it is after that I said, yes, I am going to be healed. And when he came back, he said, throughout the whole surgery, I was hearing that prayer, which we had, even as I was getting the finances. What do I do to get what you have, you people? So he came back and he accepted Jesus in his lordship. We thank the Lord for that. Yeah, one of the other things which Glotrans has done, and that has basically been with the help and with the support of the partnership of the Tricord, is that we realized that in church, directly in church, there was a missing link as most people were emphasizing in one line of growth, that is spiritual growth without the holistic growth. And we introduced programs which go to the church and we do financial empowerment. And our financial empowerment starts from teaching people in how to do business as Christians, and even starting up businesses so that they can take care of all their needs. And this, we have done it intentionally when we're even looking at the youth with the unemployment which is within the country, which is high. So when we go to some of these churches, we encourage them to form groups. And right now we have about 5 groups which are from churches. We have one which is Amazing Grace. We have another one which is Jericho amongst them. Now, these groups, when they come up, they are getting small amounts of money, loans, which are like startup. That is after we have taught them. Some of these groups, you maybe have an opportunity of meeting them and hearing their own testimonies. But these are groups which are formed from church. When the youth have finished studies, some of them have never gone to school, but when they come, they use their very groups as collateral amongst themselves. This has been really the support of being able to get the funds from Tricord, which have a very minimal interest, which is basically for supporting these groups. And we have seen some people grow from these businesses which were small. We had a young man who was repairing watches. Now, when he was repairing watches, he needed some more capital so that he could be able to get more of his equipment to be able to repair the watches. We happened to put him in a group, and out of that group, the group was the security, and we gave him some minimum loan. When we talk about a minimum loan, by that time we gave him $100. After getting the $100, he expanded on his business of the watches. He started buying new watches to sell from only repairing. And then he increased and he expanded from just on the watches. He knew that now he could even sell other electronics. He started also selling some mobile phones by then. Today his business has grown. But this is basically from the funds which have been got from Tricord with minimum interest. If we never had that, there would be no way in which to help this young person to be able to develop economically and to be able to fulfill all his obligations, to live his life healthy as a Christian who is holistic in spirit and in body.
Mukama waffe omulungi yeebazibwe batulaba babatuuliriza. Amanya nze Ssemugabi Jime ekkanisa Miracle Revival Church. Ndi mufumbo olw'ekisa kya Katonda kama atuwadde abaana b'obuwala n'ab'obulenzi. Olw'ekisa kya Katonda era Mukama neesigisizza okusumba ekkanisa obuweereza buno obwa Miracle Revival Church.
Mukama yeebazibwe. Amanya gange Pastor Geoffrey Lukanga era nga nsangibwa wano e Bukeerere ku Discipleship Church.
I'm Pastor Noel Ndiaguma. By the grace of God, I'm a lead pastor of Pepromeno International Ministries and Destiny Assembly Church.
Njagala okwebaza Katonda nti kavanga tutandika okuweereza tuwezezza emyaka 10 mu buweereza. Obuweereza buno ebimu ku bigendererwa byabwo kwe kubeera nga bimusa okubuulira enjiri mu bantu, mu bibuga, mu mawanga, mu butale ne ku nguudo. Era ekyo tukyenyigiddemu nnyo okulaba nga tukikola. So obuweereza buno tukkiririza mu kusomesa abaana abo abatalina. Si buli muntu nti asobola okufuna level etwala omwana mu ssomero ly'emiliyoni, naye tukkiriza okulaba nga tuguluminga abaana okubeera nga nabo bafuna ebyenjigiriza ebirungi. Ekirala kwe kugaziya amatabi nti buli kitundu at least kibeere nga kifuna ekigambo kya Katonda. Ekigambo kya Katonda okubeera nga buli wantu wonna weekiri.
mission yaffe kwe kulaba nga tubunyisa omulimu gwa Katonda